Okay, hello lovelies. Welcome to the October group coaching call. It is great to be here. It always feels like quite a lot of time that passes in between these main group sessions. And I finally got the reason. It's because we've completed a big container, so we don't have our other weekly sessions in between. But this session is open to anyone. And I know that a lot of people follow the recording of these sessions because they're so powerful. And one of the reasons why I know that these are so powerful is because we bring a lot of real to the calls. And as I've been dropping into, gosh, what's been sort of sitting with me over the last little while, it's about being real, right? It's about being vulnerable. Hey, Lise. It's about being authentic. You know, all of these words that we hear out and about these days. But what has really been so becoming so clear for me is how, and I'm going to do a little video on it a bit later, about how we avoid our humanness and how we avoid our feelings and how we avoid our emotion and how we avoid being real. Right? We're so conditioned to put these masks on and to wear this armor and to have these swords out and protection, right? And I've been talking a lot about emotion, which, you know, if you've been looking at my page, you would have seen. So obviously I'm sitting in that place of a lot of emotion myself, because that's what happens when we start talking about a particular theme. And I've also been talking about the truth, right? Being real. And I'm writing back into my book writing, and which has now been separated into 3 books, which some of you know, Shane especially, because he did the silly thing of saying, I'll take you out to dinner when your book is published. And now I'm like, oh, by the way, it's going to be 3. And he was like, that's not what I signed up for. So it's going to be 3 books. And the first one really centers on the truth about parenting, right? The truth. What's the truth here? And the truth of how we feel, how we show up, right? How we behave, whether it's coming from a place of realness, of authenticity, of truth. And I've been, hang on, I'm just going to let Jodes in while I gather my thoughts. This has been, it's been such a theme that has been running through the work that I've been bringing, right? The work that I've been offering. And for those of you who have been in the Connection with Self program, there is a little process that I did with Glenn, who was supporting, you know, back of house for quite a while, and it was a process that my coach did with me, because most of the time we don't even know the way we're feeling. We don't even know what's coming up for us. We don't even know, you know, where we really are in ourselves, you know, because we're so conditioned to be up here, you know, just in the thoughts and the constant being in this mind space. And I had a coach who asked me a long time ago. He said, "So, how, you know, how's it going? How you feeling?" And I just went, "Oh, I'm really grounded," and blah blah blah. And this whole bunch of shit just leapt out of my mouth, and it wasn't true. And he saw it. I'm just seeing it. Erin is, someone's messaged. Oh no, it's just a comment. Okay, cool. I'm just keeping an eye on the threads in case somebody wants to have the link. It wasn't even true. What I had rattled out of my mouth was not what was going on for me. Like, it wasn't probably what I would like to have been going on for me, but it wasn't the truth. And he said to me, he took me through a little process, which I put in the level 1 program, which brought me into myself. Right? It brought me into connection with myself so that I could actually speak the truth and speak what was really going on. So this is something that is really landing for me at the moment. And what I would love for us to do is to come into that space, right? And what that means is we're not going to come into this call from here. We're going to come into it from here, right? So very simply, yeah. Now you guys can jump up onto your feet and you can do a little bit of a shake if that's going to support you, just whatever has brought you into this call today, whatever you've been navigating, whether you've been navigating kids or, you know, road rage or whatever it is, whatever it's been. So just jumping on your feet just for a moment, right? Just to bring you out of your head and into your body. Because that is what we do. Because otherwise we're just circling around the thoughts and what we think is going on for us. So just a little shake, a little vibration in the knees with whatever it is that you're doing. Just allowing your eyes to close. Just allowing everything to drop down. We're not going to spend long, just a couple of minutes. You can use the breath as a brilliant way to bring the awareness and move some of the energy of whatever it is that you've been navigating this morning to get yourself to the call. With the intention that you're going to allow everything just to move down your body from the very top of your head all the way down your shoulders, your arms, your chest, your belly, your pelvis, your legs, all the way down to the floor. And as you're doing this, new energy will make its way up through your body as you're moving things down and out. Yeah, there will be new energy coming up and in. And it just happens organically as you feel everything dropping away, as you're surrendering everything, as you're intentionally letting go. New energy starts to arrive. And it might just be the feeling of stillness, some calm that's arriving, some tingly, some warmth in your body, some relief. Oh, it's such a simple process and it's so incredibly powerful. Okay. We're just moving towards stillness. It's a process that we've just had a little taste. I want to give you a little bit more once we've come into stillness. So just allowing the shake to sort of come a sway or a stretch. And you can stay standing for this bit, or you can just slowly, when you're ready, make your way back to your seat, just with your eyes low, your gaze dropped. So often we forget about the body. Just taking a moment now and finding your seat. Just bringing your awareness to the head space. I'm not going to stay there because we've just enabled ourselves to start to occupy our body. Just imagine that you are in an elevator. Imagine there's an elevator in the middle of your forehead and you're stepping through that elevator and through the doors. And imagine that this elevator is going to take you on a little journey down from your head. So you're going to drop a little deeper into your body. And you can do that just by imagining a journey, like, wow, what would it be like if there was an elevator in the middle of my forehead and you're stepping into that elevator. Our imagination is such a powerful tool. So imagine it traveling down. It's kind of just traveling down slowly. You can tap the journey across the front of your face, imagining that it's going down past your eyes or your nose, or you can just follow it with your awareness. Maybe just have an experiment of both to see what supports you. Imagine that this elevator is coming down into your throat now. Just bringing everything down a few more notches, coming towards the center of your chest. And once the elevator has arrived, just bringing your hands onto your chest. Imagine that the doors of your elevator, your internal elevator, are opening and you're stepping across that threshold and you're entering into a room, and this is your heart room, and your heart room can be decorated or designed any way you choose. So just imagine what this room that surrounds your heart would be like. And imagine walking towards the center of this room, and there's a chair. There's a chair in the center of this beautiful heart space. And you take a seat in this chair. And you take a few deep breaths in this chair, in the center of your heart space, in the center of you. And from this place, I would love for you to join the call. So you can gently lower your gaze and flicker your eyes open. And allow your gaze to come and join everybody that's on the call. Sarah, Leonie, Lisa is with us too, Jody, Aaron, Shane. Welcome everybody. So I know for me that when my coach invited me to do that, or something similar to that, when I had my heart on my chest and then he asked me again, how are you? I burst into tears. Because that was the truth. And as I talk about emotion and the truth, which I shared before we started that little process, so often we are numbing ourselves out and distracting ourselves from how we feel. From the truth of how we feel. And I know that that's one of the most powerful things that we do in these containers, in these calls, the programs. So I know for me, I've been in a very delicate space over the past few days. Very raw, very vulnerable. I'm kind of having a little giggle. I'm actually going to show you. So I went through my whole wardrobe. Not my whole wardrobe. There's a pile on the floor there of all the clothes that I'm looking at that are going, that's not me anymore. And some of them I'm not even sure were ever me. So this is about bringing the real in our relationships, our relationship to ourselves, and not pushing away this The feeling that comes up, the feelings that want to be felt. Demanding to be felt, right? And we get so good at pushing them away and squashing them down and numbing ourselves out and distracting ourselves away. And yeah, I think it's actually landing for me that it's a big part of the work that I do is inviting people to that space. So I'd love to hear what's happening for you guys. What's real in your world at the moment? Do you have a big pile of clothes on the floor? Should you have a big pile of clothes on the floor? It's a big metaphor, that one, hey? I don't think I haven't got much left in my wardrobe. I was talking to Tony. It was like, I don't know how many clothes I'm going to have left to actually cover my body once I get through the whole lot, right? So how are we really? Maybe we could start that process by putting a word in the chat box. Oh, you're looking gorgeous, Jody. What is that gorgeousness that you're wearing?
My dressing gown.
It's beautiful. I love it. Looks like a kimono.
Yes.
Yeah, you look stunning. So just drop some words into the chat box. How are you guys? What's in here? Yeah, it could just be a word. It could be more if you choose to, but maybe just starting with a word and then we'll invite ourselves to join the call. Thoughts of adulting. Oh, emotionally honest. Yeah. Oh, I really feel that. I mean, I know I'm in a place of like really deep feeling at the moment. Tony was calling it heartbreak when we had a 2-hour conversation yesterday, and he was calling it heartbreak. Yeah, like just allowing the heart to break. I've always, a lot of you would have heard me language it as allowing the heart to bleed. Just allowing it all to flow out. Dynamically delicate. You have to tell me more about the dynamically delicate, Sarah. Lisa, would love to have you when you can. It was great to see your face for even a moment. Sending you love. Frustrated, upset with everything around me, me included. Oh, there's some real. Yeah. It actually just it brings me deeper into my feeling just reading that, Leonie. It's like, wow, yeah. All right, lovely. You go and do what you need to do, Erin. Deeply lonely. Oh, oh my God. Yeah. I'm just reading each one of those words and going, yeah, Jody. Yeah. Matrixed out. Yeah, totally. Whew. Wow, this is going to be a beautiful, vulnerable call. So who would like to share more? Sarah, would you like to tell me more about your dynamically delicate?
Way to put the dynamically delicate on the spot.
Yeah.
trying to frame it up and just disrupted, like that real but dynamic, and that I can clock when I'm in my shit. And sometimes I'm really good at just reaching out to somebody or to just speak into it myself and jump up and down and just try and disrupt it. And the dynamic of that is why I put it alongside the delicate, because I feel fucking delicate, because I feel there's still that really strong pull to the old, because it's still so new, this truth in all its essence for me. And I struggle with that. And I struggle to not beat myself up about it because I'm really fucking good at that.
Yep.
And I guess there's just quite a few things that are going on that are coming, like some pieces coming to bringing completion around my nursing career. And I'm sitting in this like limbo space now, waiting for the Employment Relations Authority to set a date for mediation. My old employer's got 14 days to respond to that. And I just see that as being such a, well, and it's like disrupted, like it's done, like it's fully fucking off the tracks. And I just don't even know what tracks I'm getting back on, you know. Like I honestly don't. I feel like I'm at a fucking like Thomas the Tank Engine turntable thing, and the Tasmanian Devil's at the controls. And it just is like, I'm like, oh, we're going this way now. And I'm like, no, we're not going that way. I don't feel that. And just trying to be okay and not knowing, but also like, I fucking want to know. You know, like fucking, I want to know. And yesterday I got a beautiful truth reading at a community event up in Whangarei, but I also got fully seen in my intuitive genius. There was a beautiful lady came and was doing, everyone just got to pick a couple of oracle cards. She'd shuffled together, and she's in a Darlene Perks, I think you know her. And I stupidly said, "Who's going to read are you going to pick your cards, Darlene?" And she's like, "I'll pick them, and you can read them." And so I totally like opened myself up for this, but the thing that stuck for me was the reading that I just got was, you're not fully standing in your light. Like you are not, you're still hiding. You're still not showing up in your complete fullness. And I freaking like it literally was like, ooh, right here going, yeah, I fucking know I'm not. Like I'm much clearer, and you know who I am, and you know those boundaries are a bit firmer, and all of that, but I'm still not giving in full service to myself or to others from the fullness of me. And so that, like, again, that dynamic, delicate what's the resistance? What's holding me back? Like, what is that piece that's stopping me? And there is still this fear of being too much and people not being able to handle that. And I'm really sitting with that because I've got two family gatherings coming up this weekend that are, you know, my sisters haven't seen me for months. And I'm like, how am I even going to show up here? What is that?
So it sounds like I'm right on theme with what I started the call with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I just, I'm taking a friend with me to my sister's 40th on Saturday, which will be awesome. And we can hit the dance floor and, all of that. But I don't want to use the dance floor to avoid conversations and that sort of, am I just going to use that to escape the uncomfortable part of not being authentic, but just muted, actually, the muted version of me for the preservation of other people's feelings or the preservation of relationships or the not wanting to disrupt all of it. Like it just, I know, I just, I feel like I've been in my cave for most of winter, avoiding going out and all of that because I just don't know. And I'm almost, it's like I just feel safe here on my own because I can just be all of me and I can feel my feelings here and I do that and I can move them through and just to not, I don't have to pretend when I'm at home.
Oh.
I don't have to pretend when I'm at home. So yeah, that's where dynamically delicate came from because it's all over the show.
Yeah.
Dynamic and it's moving and it's shifting from a more powerful and a more empowered and a more aware space with this.
Yeah, but hang on, Sarah. Stay where you were because you're doing it now,
What?
right?
Yeah.
With that sentence that you had, I don't have to pretend when I'm at home, right? Yeah, that was a fucking mic drop. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you immediately had to go into the but I'm powerful and but I'm doing right?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what we
It's
do.
like justified.
Yeah, yeah, and that's well, it's the danger. It's the danger of this work, right? If there's a danger, this is it. It just becomes another way to bypass, right?
Yeah.
That actual deep feeling because we are like I wrote some notes because it was really good what you were saying. Fucking powerful, man. We are disrupting, and it's excruciatingly uncomfortable.
Yeah. And and I think the thing I find the most uncomfortable, Jack, is trying to relate and communicate to people that haven't experienced this work and haven't got this level of awareness. And I think that's my profound piece that is scaring the fuck out of me about this weekend.
But I just want you to stay in that feeling. I want you to go back to that feeling of I don't have to pretend when I'm at home. So what does that mean? It means that you have to pretend that when you pretend every time that you're not at home, right? So whenever you go out, then you're in pretend mode, then you're in hiding mode, then you're in mask mode, then you're in, keeping your feelings at bay mode, right? Squashing
Yeah,
stuff down.
depending on where I am and who I'm with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm just gonna track back with with the things that you said, so that we can just stay with this. Because look, I know you're a powerful woman. Like, fuck, we know this, right? We know we're doing this work, and we know we have that side of ourselves, because we absolutely do. But there's still such a denial of humanness that happens, right? Collectively. And for myself, deepening into that, to not just brush it aside. It's a part of who we are. That's why we have these two circles that we work with. We have our creator, we have our humanness, right? We have our genius, we have our humanness, and we can bypass it. We can bypass the way that we feel with everything. Even the healthy things like yoga. Like, I went away for a weekend and I was meditating with a whole bunch of friends. It was a group that I've been on a spiritual initiation with, and I didn't feel the need to do yoga at all. Interesting, right? I didn't feel the need to do yoga, because when I'm at home, I feel the need. Yeah, and it's that God, I've got to do, it's like I'm reaching, because I don't want to just be here. And even meditation can be a distraction, right? It can be a bypass. Connection with others can be a bypass. Oh, I don't want to feel what I'm feeling. I'm just going to reach out, make it about them, go and help someone, right? And we want to know. Like, I loved the way that you put it when you said, I don't even know what tracks I'm going to be moving on to, because yeah, that's what it is. And we have such a massive need to know, need to get it right, need all of that. And the not knowing is uncomfortable, painful. It can be excruciating sometimes. But what I found really interesting about one of the things you said, Sarah, is that I still get pulled back into the old, right? Why do you think that is? Why do you keep getting pulled back into the old?
Aside from the fact that it's a really well-worn track. Because I know it.
Yeah, I mean, it's familiar, it's the
All
old
of
worn
those.
path, but it also holds a
Nothing else
lot
there.
of feeling.
Mm.
And when I started this call about, like, how are you? And we just blah, right? We don't tell the truth. Yeah.
Mm.
Or if something starts to come up, we quickly shut it down. And it's so unconscious, we don't even know we're doing it most of the time. And Tony actually was sitting on a call with me, with my team, right, of the new marketing guys, and we were visioning, we were all dropping into the vision of, why are we even doing this, right? What's your vision for coming in? What's mine? What's Tony's? And that's what we were doing. And I had some big feeling that came up with the line of, I just want people to stop hurting themselves and each other, right? And the planet at a bigger picture. And a whole bit of feeling came up, and I pushed it down. And when I look back at why I pushed it down, it was like, oh, well, I'm on a call and I don't want to waste their time. And it's like, it was my fucking call. I'm paying these people. It was my call. And I pushed away my feelings for them. And this is what we do.
Yeah, people pleasing.
People pleasing, and also still hiding, right? Hiding, not wanting to go there because it's painful. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like the heart bleeding out. It's like it's feeling everything.
Mm.
And this hiding piece. Fear of being too much, which is ultimately the fear of death, which we know in this work, right? It's like at the core of it all all of that, if we're not loved, if we're not accepted, if we don't belong, all of that, if we're judged, then we're not loved, then we are dead. That's the you know, the severity of it.
Mm.
It's not true anymore like it is in the
Yeah.
animal kingdom, which I saw in when I was in Africa again. Right, I saw a hippo that got pushed out of its herd, and they had beaten this hippo, like the other hippos, like they leap on each other, which is no mean feat for a freaking hippo, right? Because they're massive creatures, and it had cut. It was cut, like it had scar. You know, scars make it sound like it was old, but they were fresh wounds. It had fresh wounds all over it, and I was like, what happened to that guy? And the guide said the whole herd, if that's what you call a herd of hippos, I don't know, the whole group of hippos turned on that other hippo and they're pushing him out of the herd. And I'm like, fuck, man, that's brutal. It's brutal in the wild. And that's where we have come from. And that's the fear that exists inside of us. I mean, it's not real anymore because we have systems in place. We have welfare. We don't just have our herd. We can go and find another herd, right? We can go hang out with Pumbaa and Timon like the Lion King did, right? It's like we find our people, but that fear still exists at the core of it all. That means we hide and we isolate. And I'm just coming back to some of these words, you know, lonely and yeah. So that was my invitation around, you know, when you did that mic drop moment, which was a fucking mic drop moment, sister. I don't have to pretend when I'm at home. Well, no wonder you want to stay at home, right? Yeah. And no wonder you want to come to groups like this where you don't have to pretend anymore because we want that. Yeah, just to stay with that. So this is what I'm going to invite Shane to share. I want you to stay with that. Not shake it away. You know, use the tools that you've got now to take you away from it, because that's a danger. Just to actually allow yourself to feel it. Yeah. Thanks, honey. Shane, what's alive in you, brother?
What's alive in me at the minute is like hearing all of this is just making me reflect back onto a powerful experience that I had maybe a couple of Fridays ago. I think I shared this with you over the weekend, Jack. But it's all, it's about getting better at feeling, you know? And like over the past couple of years, like I'm getting used to not pushing that shit down, you know. If something comes through, it's like I'd have tools like I would go for a drive and put on some angry music and let anger out and whatever, and or put a cry song on, you know. And then afterwards, after sort of half an hour, it's like, oh, something would move through and I would feel pretty cool after that, you know. I'm like, oh, let's go and have a dance. But last Friday was very, very different. And, you know, yeah, it's been an interesting winter, you know, kind of overwintering and just fucking feeling a lot of shit, and especially at the conclusion of the 6 month container. Um, but yeah, last Friday, like I could just feel. I woke up and I was just like, I just felt sad, not you know, not really any particular reason, or couldn't clock what the reason was. Anyway, let's just say, I was like, fuck, there's something in this. So I just put myself in a chair in the front of my bus and put on some music that I know generally will bring that on if there's something there, you know. but there was no story attached to it like there normally is with this music. And fuck, man, when the floodgates went up there, I grieve and just fucking bawl and release, and it came through like in just different wave after waves. And it was probably for a good hour and a half. And and in there it's like, fuck, can I be seen in my relationship like this? You know? And it was like, whoa, and then that pulled up so much. And so I made a video call to my partner when I was just you know, like the fear. I was sitting in this resistance and fear to be seen of that, even though I've been seen in so many ways. But for and I was like, whoa, fuck, are we gonna do? Okay, we're doing it. And she didn't pick up, but that was irrelevant because it was what had happened inside of me to make that choice to do that, you know. And just reflecting back on this call and kind of what something that I've just kind of arrived at. It's like whenever I'm on the precipice of a real breakthrough in myself, there's always a bit of a breakdown first, you know, breakdown, breakthrough, potato, potato. And what I'm starting to have a bit of an understanding of is, you know, this work just chews us up and it spits us out, you know, and it's disorientating because it's so different to that well-worn groove. We come out the other side, it's completely fucking different, you know. It's like, whoa, where am I now? And I generally find it's when I'm in this new state of being and this uncomfortableness, and then I bring in a huge piece of self-advocacy or a boundary or just fucking deleting shit that is not serving me and putting myself first. And it's really beautiful and empowering. And it's like, yes, but then there's this fucking grief piece that happens afterwards. And I've learned not to bypass that now, because after that powerful experience on Friday, I'm like, oh, this is the grieving, that whole part of myself that I just fucking deleted when I empoweredly made that new decision, you know? And over this hour and a half, I came to this, like, just, it was kind of like my whole fucking life, in a sense of all the ways where I was so fucking mean and horrible to myself, you know, and and I was just, fuck, I'm so sorry. Because like, you know, when I can see it in other people and say my parents and stuff, I'm like, ah, they don't, you know what they did. And the consciousness, and I was like, fuck, I've spiritually bypassed myself, and it just all opened up, and I was like, fuck, I'm so sorry, because I didn't know what I was doing for just about my entire life, beating myself up and just the negative fucking talk. And it just bled and bled and bled. And yeah, it was just this beautiful moment of love within myself. You know, because I didn't know then. I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And just, you know, the internal and the violence that I would treat myself with all the years. And yeah, it was epic. And then afterwards, like, I was fucked. Like, I was just absolutely knackered. Like, normally I'm like, you know, oh, cool, fuck, I feel good now. Let's move through. Let's have a dance. But I was just like, I was exhausted. You know, it was like, yeah, just exhausted. So I was just real gentle, just tender with myself, and just sort of dozed and slept and wrapped up in some warm blankets. And you know, maybe watched a movie that night and had a beautiful share about it all with my partner later on. And yeah, but it's as you say, it's like, fuck, not bypassing it and not forcing it either. And I have a really good understanding now, you know, that this and going through something like that, this is probably going to keep happening. Like this is potentially a very new normal thing for me now, going into this work and taking it out into the world, because there's going to be so many more parts of myself that are going to die, that are going to die, that are going to die. And there's a grief, and there's a grief, and there's a grief. But it's like the parts that are dying are all the parts that are clogging my filter of being an intuition, being out of the way of
You.
place where we're connected through all time and space. Yeah.
Yeah, but out of the way of you, right? Out of the way of the truth of who you are. And,
Mm.
I'm loving this conversation because it's just evolving, and I'll share why I'm getting that. But first, I'll share not bypassing and not forcing, right? Not forcing, like either bypassing the feeling or trying to force it out, which I've done all of, by the way, right? And this is the battle of evermore, right? This is it, right? This is what we're going to be navigating for the rest of our lives, and our lives as humans, because that is what it is to be human. It's
And it's a
messy,
funny
it's
thing because I
chaos,
don't make,
it's
without making it bad now, it's like I go through, like when I'm in that, there's still the part of me that's like, this is the existential kink bit, it's like I'm actually at some level, there's still a joy and an enjoyment, because I know going right deep into there, the place always comes where there's that, fuck, I always touch grace in such an unbelievable way, in a very profound way, in those moments of that deep grief. And then you hit that, it's like you gotta go so fucking dark into the shadow, and then you hit it and you're like, "Wah." And it's epic. And it's quite funny, like since then, like I was going to jump on here, my share was like, fuck, I'm actually feeling really, really amazing at the moment. I've been pushing myself out into doing so much more physical practice, and the spring's on, and been doing so much dancing and quite powerfully moving through shit. I'll be shit fucking predominantly good, and then shit comes and we'll have a look. But just the nature of the way that this call opened up, I thought it was very important to just share about that whole experience, that it wasn't like I was doing it to get it out and then feel better afterwards. It was just, fuck, this is what's happening. And then I'm just going to sit in the tenderness of this afterwards and let it be what it was. It's like, I don't have to be happy now after this. I can have that, and I can still just feel sad. Whatever. It will pass eventually. It's not bad. This is whatever's going on here was such a deep sacred moment to have with myself. And the couple of weeks after that, like, oh fuck, it's been amazing.
like, and it's the energy that we apply the tools, right? And I know that you guys have heard me say this, because before these pieces that we're sharing here around good and bad, and around the judgment of feeling and grief and sadness, and those lower vibrational, dense, painful, yeah, because that's what they've been defined as, that we shouldn't be feeling those, right? Was that I had to get rid of them, right? First, I'd be numbing the fuck out of them, right? Not even allowing myself to feel them, suppressing them, squashing them. No, don't go there. And then once I started allowing myself to actually feel them, then it was like, well, now I've got to get rid of them, right? Because I was still judging them and making them bad and wrong. I was allowing myself to feel them, but I still had that judgment. I was like, I've got to just get it out, right? I've got, don't, because fuck, it's coming up now. I just want to get it out as quickly as possible. And there's a bypass there, right? I mean, it's useful, don't get me
Get it out
wrong.
and
It's like it's better out of your body, but when it's got that judgment, then this other side of that is that you're not actually allowing yourself to feel to
Mm.
feel it, and to just, you know, for the feeling of it to be okay. Yes, allowing it to move through your body rather than trying to force it out. Very different energy, right? You're just getting out of its way. And it's like, okay, this is an example that you might have heard me say before, that women are taught to force their babies out, right? To push, you've got to push, and, you know, and doing damage. If any of you have seen Katie's posts lately, she's been talking about her early birth journeys, and they're pretty, right? Because she was told to force her baby out, and the baby was not in the position that it should be coming out. Because we have, as women, we have a natural expulsive reflex built into our body, into the process of birth, that the baby just naturally is expelled from the body, from the body, right? And we know this because a woman can have a baby in a coma, right? A woman who is not present consciously can deliver a baby because her body is doing the work, but we get in the way and think that we have to force it and push it out, and we don't. And that's huge. And that is it's such a vitally important piece of information around this emotional piece, that what we're doing is we're just getting out of its way so that it can naturally move through rather than forcing it. Yeah. And I know that I've taught tools before as emotional release tools. It still had the energy of get it out, it's bad, it's wrong, right? Now, just getting out of its way so that it can naturally move through is a very different story. But what I loved about what you said, Shane, and what you shared with Shani, because it's one thing to be able to do this alone, right? Behind closed doors, then I can let myself fall to pieces, right? If I'm in a container, then I can let myself fall to pieces. If we're on this call, I can let myself fall to pieces. You know, if I'm in a facilitated space, can we do it out there? Can we do it in front of our partner? Can we do it in front of our kids? Right? And I'm not talking about getting angry at kids, because that's an easy one, right? I was really good at that one. I'm talking about just falling apart, like, you know, the grief and the sadness and the pain and the hurt that's sitting underneath it all. Are we willing to show our kids that? And give our kids the opportunity to step up and support us? Because holy, that's a whole different story. And how many stories we have around, but I'm supposed to be the parent, I'm supposed to be the one supporting them. I've had both of my boys come up and hug me when I've just been falling apart. And my God, what a reference point that is for them and for me. Like, they're here to teach us, right? But, you know, are we willing to fall apart in front of people that are out there? Because our safety is coming from inside, not outside, right? Oh, I've got to be in a safe container. I've got to be within the four walls of my house, Sarah, you know? You know, can I do it when I'm at the event with my family? Can I show them the truth of what I'm feeling? And this is really alive in me at the moment, because I'm going through these conversations with these marketing guys, and what I'm getting is there's a very different side of me that I bring in these containers than what I'm showing on the outside. And those two things need to match.
Yeah.
That's it. And the fear that gets in my way, the hiding, the protection, the masks, and now I'm feeling them. The invitation is to just drop all of it, and I'm terrified because I don't know what's going to be left. Like my clothes in the wardrobe. I'm going to be walking around fucking naked because I've got no fucking clothes, right? Yeah. I don't know what's going to be left. And there's a big part of me that's like, holy man, I thought I'd drop some masks, and yes, I have in so many ways, but we can put them back on again, and that's the kicker. In the alchemy part of the curriculum, we talk about waking up is not enough. We have to stay awake. Dropping a mask is not enough. We have to stop ourselves from putting that shit back on. Because we do. We put it back on. And when you said raw as fuck, Sarah, holy. Yeah. I am feeling so raw right now. It's like someone's got their hand in my heart and just going, right? It's like, oh. And the tears are so at the surface. Yeah, and I wouldn't have it any other way because it's real. And I'm, you know, as Shane's been saying, it is not like that all the time. And when we start to understand, I'm going to steal your word, that this is the journey that we're on. And when we allow this stuff to flow through, like the truth, unfiltered, like children. And my big boy goes, how is it that Sky is like in his 1 minute and then 2 minutes later he's sweet, he's running around like, and I'm like, because he doesn't block it, he doesn't stop it, he doesn't, oh, that's gone, sweet, right? And then, yeah, so me and my big boy continue to learn from my little guy, right? Yeah, like our meat suit has been turned inside out. That's exactly how I'm feeling at the moment, man. And to not go into making it bad, right? It's like, wow, this is wild, this ride. Yeah. The other thing that I just wanted to mention, because I went to a couple of dances on over the weekend. Went to one dance on the Friday night, and this beautiful woman, Rana, who some of you will know, you will have heard her DJ before, and she said, look, this feeling journey is not for the faint-hearted, because once you start opening yourself up to feeling and you don't close up again, right? You stay open and, oh, maybe try, you know, and you stay open and you try and, you know, you commit to staying open to feeling. What that means is you got to feel it all, because that's the commitment. And I shared a very vulnerable with my man. So Shane, we've been doing the vulnerable shares. I had a very vulnerable share with my man, where I shared with him the devastation of my husband at the time, who went and did a transformational weekend of men's work called Essentially Men, and he came back and he was open. And I'd never seen him before. And I was just like, oh my God, like this. And then he told me, this is going to take me 5 years to process this. I can't do any more. And then I watched him close. And I was devastated. I was devastated because I saw him. Yeah. And that's what we're doing here. Committing to staying open. So yeah, I agree, Sarah. It is like our meat suit has been turned inside out. The invitation to be able to stop hiding. Shame.
Yeah, like hearing that, you know, to witness someone who's so close to you in your life, and you see that opening, and it's like you see the truth of someone just beginning to crack and open and shine, you know, and then you watch that closing again, you just, fuck, I feel that pain, you know, like we just, fuck, we're so much more than this. It's so much more.
Mm.
Don't
Yeah, we're emotional beings.
stay there.
Say that again, Shane. Sorry.
Don't have to fucking stay there. We get to grow past the shit, you know?
Yeah. And as the old saying goes, we gotta feel it. We gotta feel it. We can't heal the pain consciously. Yeah. Which I'm really, and I'm so grateful for the way that I came into my own journey, because it was all about feeling and emotion and embodiment and somatic, and I'm so grateful, because I spent 40 years of my life numbed out and not feeling. And when I said that, I said something before about, you know, we're going to stop hiding. That includes hiding from ourselves, right? Because the world, it's becoming easier and easier to hide. Yeah. Because now we can actually exist at home and not have to go out at all. You can have your shopping delivered. You can, you can get your dopamine needs, your connection needs. You can actually get them met, not in a very healthy, functional, or nourishing or nurturing way, but you can get them met online. So it's getting easier to hide. And what we're doing here is choosing something really different. To not hide from ourselves, and then that ripples out to not hiding from other people, from the other people in our lives. Jody.
Hi. Yeah, kia ora. Just crazy Groundhog Day for me, and feeling into everyone's share, almost visualizing the snake with the skins being shed over and over again, and wanting to quickly put on those old skins and, you know, have resistance and then give up, because I'm just cycling, and somehow the universe has dished me up one thing after another, which has been getting bigger and bigger, sort of forcing me into some form of awareness. And, you know, as if having mum dying isn't enough, and her denying that she's even sick in some ways, where, you know, it's just crazy, her seeing her life full of abuse, and just still at this transition stage denying anything is wrong with her. And I see the resentment, and what the resentment and guilt and pain and anger has done to her body, and that even, you know, there's no way you can sort of introduce opportunities for her, because it's her choice. So just letting go of that, and then I got nailed with this fucking infection that is so incredibly painful. And I don't know, Sarah, if you know about Bartholin cysts or abscesses. Bartholin, so it's in my groin, and I didn't know what it was, and then all of a sudden it went crazy, like this big, full of pus. And I live in this rural community, and the doctors are hopeless. And so I was going to all these A&E with my daughter, trying to wonder what it was, and drove myself to hospital and had to wait over 6 hours before I drove back. It takes me 2 hours to get to the hospital and then be turned away because they've got one doctor looking after about 300 patients. And then I started losing the plot. And then I said, well, maybe I should go to Waikato. And they said, well, they've got people waited 26 hours. And in the meantime, I've got this thing, which is really personal and scary, that if it bursts, it could be life-threatening and painful and vulnerable. And it's in my creative center. And anyway, so I won't go into it, but I ended up driving home and going to millions of different doctor's appointments, and none of them could help. The antibiotics were making me so sick, and I couldn't tap into my healing, to the source, because I was parenting and losing the plot. So I was thinking, why is this happening? And it was crazy, and it's been going on for 3 weeks, and I'm sort of into the stage now where the day I went off the antibiotics, it came back again. I'm like, I'm fucked. I have to pay $1,000 to get into a gyno, and then even they can't. Yeah, anyway, it's so mental. And I realized how broken the health system was. So I started feeling so fearful and isolated and trying to tap into my shaman. And because that's sometimes all we've got. And then at the same time, I was like, fuck, I am so lonely. I don't have a partner. I'll probably never get one, because who wants to go out with some old lady that lives in the middle of nowhere? No one. So all the stories coming up, I feel so ugly and gross and pussy. And my birthday's coming up in a few weeks, and I'd probably just go past without no one even knowing, except for my mum and my daughter. It's like I feel so sorry for myself. It's really tragic. And my best friend's breaking up with her partner, so she's going through her own. And I'm noticing this is where the compassion comes in. I'm noticing it's not just me. Here I am playing this victim in my little story. But then when I arose to the compassion, healing started coming. And because I've been soaking in all these hot baths to help the infection, I started listening to because I studied Tibetan Buddhism for like 20 years. I started listening to spiritual materialism, like this amazing book by Chogyam Trungpa that was written in the early 70s, and one of his students. And I was like, wow. And it's very similar to this work. It's just a different language. And it helped me break through into some way into compassion and understanding for all. And the healing, interestingly, started coming there through for me, because I surrendered, because I just had to. It was like feeling left to die alone. I'm in this, like, I have my daughter for a week and now she's gone and it's nothing. I haven't been able to work, so finances are like nuts. And then I'm just like, this is a big fucking cosmic joke. I'm trying to make connections on Facebook, is making me feel so unwell. Longing for this man to connect with me who I don't know. I can't get into my creator. I started reading William Whitehead's book, one of his books, which I got sent, and at the same time listen to his spiritual teaching. So I'm feeling connected in that way. But when I took Ariana to the zoo last week, because I had to go for a medical in Auckland, and we were both saying there's so many people out there who are like zombies, just walking around. And we were in a shopping centre, and I'm saying, am I being judgmental? But everyone feels so disconnected. And yet you just want to reach out and smile and connect. But I also have fear around what's happening in the world, where what you said, Jacqueline, it's easy to disconnect now. It's easy to, I know because I was writing notes, I didn't know really how much to say because I haven't really been talking to anyone. So here I am having a conversation with real people that's not online, and just noticing how hard it is to navigate. And yet when I drop into compassion and nature, everything is perfect and as it is. And there's no judgment. But yeah, behind all of that is this fear of being isolated, not being, like in the medical appointments, I've said to a lot of them that I've had an ACC sensitive claim around sexual trauma. So this is bringing up my anxiety in a really huge way. And I need I'd like you to be sensitive to the fact that I'm very anxious with this illness. Not one of them, I must lie, one person looked at me in my eyes when I said that to them. I was vulnerable and crying so many times. I've had like 8 medical appointments, and all they've done is given me antibiotics. And it's like crazy. And so I thought I have to be the medicine, and that's where it keeps on leading back to. I have to be the medicine because I'm resonating at this frequency that's attracting all this. No judgment on myself, but there's a lesson here. It's really weird. So I want to be committed to staying open, but I keep on shutting down, and the big one that comes up for me is anger and revolting and like just doesn't make sense. And when compassion moves out the way, anger comes in, and I'm trying not to judge it because I say to my daughter, like we were driving to Auckland, and she said, "Mum, do you think you could stop saying swear words?" And I was going, "No, I fucking like saying fuck. Fuck feels really fucking good some fucking times." And then I'm like, my God, a little bit later, I was telling a friend of mine that I said that, and he was like totally judging me, going, bad, bad, bad parent, bad parent. And I was thinking, actually, she brought it up a day or so later, and she said, "Mum, I love it how you're like that. I'm getting used to it, and there's no guessing with you. But it's just like," I said, "I know I'd fit really well in Italy, but all the time my mask is telling me." Funny, I found a mask at an op shop the other day. My mask is telling me there's no way I will ever attract a partner into my life unless I fucking find the right mask, or like Jacqueline, like the right clothes or the right attitude or the right personality. My best friend says, "No, you're amazing and you're beautiful," but I'm going, "Yeah, but you love me. I have, and I don't think I'm beautiful or amazing, but I so want to accept myself." And like a year ago, when I really started deep diving and more so investing into myself, I got this big, like I was going down my molding side of and I can't tell you how I just want to rip that off. It just doesn't feel like me. And now this tattoo is on me because I'm like, what was I doing? What was I thinking? I want flowers and pretty things. And so it's just coming at me from all angles. It's like everywhere I look, everywhere in New Zealand's got this, even though at the time this was a fucking amazing thing. So yeah, I'm wandering around and bouncing off the walls in the matrix, and that's basically my contribution to today.
I fucking love it. I love it. I love the whole conversation because it's real and it's raw and it's all of it. This is all of the messiness of being human, right? And what comes for me as like the cruxes. I'm just going to mute you, Jodie, because there's a bit of feedback. What comes for me is the crux of this whole conversation, right? We're not allowing the truth of ourselves to be revealed, right? Instead, we just create more masks, right, to put on over the top. And I wrote that even before you got to this last bit of what you just said. Because it is an inward job, like it's an inside out job. And it's something Shane and I were talking about quite a lot when we hung out over the weekend. And it's something that's really coming back to me because I found it really interesting, Jodie, when you said, yeah, but nature, when I go out to nature and everything's perfect as it is, and and it's like, but humanity isn't, right? What if humanity was perfect exactly how it is, right? With all the that's happening in the world at the moment, with the systems that are crumbling, and the this and the that, and the school system the way it is, and because when I look at that pile of clothes on the floor, which is actually massive. I mean, it doesn't look big when I'm doing that, but it's actually like this high, right? I just went, nah, not that, not that, not that. I'm not making it bad. I'm just like, okay, that's not me anymore. I get what you're saying about the tattoos, because when I realized that when I learned more about my Enneagram typing, it was like, because I can't be ordinary, right? So I need to cover myself with tattoos. And now I laugh about it, because it's like, if I had the knowledge and awareness, would I still make that choice? Yeah, I probably would, because I still love my tattoos. But now I know where the energy was coming from. When I go and get another tattoo, it's going to be coming from a different place, right? And I'm good with that, because I don't go into good and bad like I did. It still catches me sometimes. I'm human, right? But humanity is not bad, right? The matrix is not bad. What's happening in the world is not bad, right? It's just the journey of being human. Like, it's gnarly, it's wild, but I guess what I'm getting to is and I don't usually use the word perfection, because as you guys all know, I've got a wild need to be perfect belief, and it's something that I navigate every single day. But the the perfection in what's actually happening in our lives as humans, right? Because when it all burns to the ground, what births out is the new, right? Is the different, is what we're doing here. When we actually allow these masks and the armor, and put down the sword, and we allow it all to fall, and that raw as fuck inside out meat suit is here, that's got to come out of the imperfection being not bad, right? We've got to be okay with it. We've got to be able to be with it, and that's the journey. Because until you can be okay with those parts of yourself, just speaking to Jody, but all of us, God, we're all in exactly the same thing, attracting a partner, right? Until we can be okay with our own humanness, which has been such a fucking journey for me, because my humanness was not allowed. It wasn't allowed. And I actually was working with a coach who didn't allow it either. My first coach. I learned so much from him, but he was up here in the higher realms, in consciousness, and but being human. And he would actually say to me, you're not human. And now I understand that very differently. It's like, yes, I know I'm not just human. I'm not just this meat sack, and I'm not just this body. I'm so much more, and I am that so much more coming and having a human experience in this body. And there ain't nothing perfect about that. And that's the perfection. You with me, Jody? Yeah, it's like it's a melting pot. It's a fire. It's a.
I hear you, and that is the hard part, and also the most beautiful part, is getting over myself enough to, or love it, totally accepting myself, fully owning every little part. Is really hard, because I totally feel like I have to conform or be a certain way, because when I am expressive, which I wish I could hide sometimes, but when I'm really expressive, it scares people, and they don't know how to deal with it, and they run away, and that sort of in a way makes me more expressive. And then I go away and beat myself up about it. It's like, wow, how can I, I'm really attracted when I see people fully being who they are, fully expressing and owning it in whatever way they are. You can sense it, it. And yeah, it's hard. It's hard when I've got the labels and the stories running round and around and around, but it's also beautiful to observe it.
Because you are going to turn people off when you are yourself, because it's going to illuminate that they're not allowing themselves to be themselves, right? That's what's happening. It's a
But
big
even if you know that, and you're going, oh fuck, I'm sick of being a martyr. And then you go in and you try to fix things up and say things in their language, and you're like, why am I bothering? It's such a waste of energy. I want to be in a community and around people. I'm exhausted about it, who totally accept each other, or you know what it means.
Yep.
Which we are. This is why we're here on this gathering, and why it's also a learning ground out there. It's never going to be perfect, but yeah, thank you for reflecting all that back.
You're welcome, gorgeous. We're here in it alongside you. I'm going to go to Leonie because she hasn't shared yet, and would love to hear from you. How are you, lovely?
Yeah, that's certainly really enlightening. It's actually helped me put some of my feelings into perspective. So, like the others, I sort of wrote notes as I went. And I started off with the situation that I was in. I was blaming everyone around me for what was happening. Then I moved into blaming myself and playing the never-ending what if game. What if it turned out this way? What if this was going to happen? And then I started to get that feeling of complete helplessness. I was no longer in control of my situation. And then I sort of got forced into making calls that I didn't want to make. And there was a feeling of avoidance, not wanting to address the issues that were in front of me. So I was avoiding the whole situation. And then I got a feeling of being scared of the outcome, scared of what the future holds for me. And then I've got this feeling of emotionally sitting in limbo land, as I don't know what's happening at the moment. It's just sort of sitting there, looming like a big dark cloud over me. And I'm waiting for that decision to come through. And yeah, so listening to everybody else speak, it sort of made me sit back and actually look at the stages I was going through. And yeah, realizing that, hey, everything's out of my hands at the moment. I'm beating myself up. I'm, blaming myself for the way things are going, and it's out of my control. I shouldn't be beating myself up. It is what it is. And I just need to accept that.
Yeah, blame is a really unhelpful, really destructive way of being in the world. And let's face it, we are raised to blame. Like we just how naturally it just falls out of your mouth, right? When something happens, you get upset, get triggered, and right, whose fault is it, right? Who can I blame? And it just goes outward, and I still feel it, right? I've done a lot of work around this piece because I know that blame is just the most pointless thing. It's just so pointless because it's so disempowering. It just gives your power away to the other person, and it's like here's my thoughts and feelings that I have about myself. Will you take care of them, right? Just blame, it's like it's not an empowered place to come from, because it puts them in power, right? It gives the control to the other person. It's like, wow, you're in control of the way that I feel. You're in control of of what's happening to me at the moment. As soon as we blame, and then if we blame ourselves, then it's the same things happening, but it's not someone else. It's our victim that's got the power, right? Or our dysfunctional way of being in the world, not our creative side, not our powerful side. And I loved the stages that you took yourself through, because the blame of others and then self, the what ifs. I mean, how much energy is used in that place? Oh, but what if I did this, and what if I did that, and what if that happened, and what if we changed? Right? It's such an energy sap, and people wonder why they've got no juice, in their lives anymore, because this is where all the energy is going. And we just end up lethargic and fatigue. Like, fatigue is just such a huge thing now, and now we've got pills for everything, right? to numb every, to support in these areas which we are creating ourselves. Avoidance, scared, fear of the future, like this limbo land, this uncertainty. It's the most uncomfortable place for a human being to be in, where things are uncertain. And then we have to make them certain by reaching back into the past and grabbing what we think we know and applying it to, what we're currently experiencing. And, it's one thing to say, well, this is what's happening and I need to accept it. And yeah, we do need to come into that place for sure. We just don't want to hang out there too long, because otherwise we're actually not moving forward in a creative way, in a powerful way. But yeah, it's the first step, right? To go, shit, this is what's happening. No one else is at fault, because even if someone is coming at us with a whole bunch of shit, we're allowing that to happen, right? And this is why the boundaries piece, and tolerating other people's behavior, whatever's happening there, because it's so easy to go into blame and make it everybody else's fault, everyone else's fault. But when we take responsibility for it and we go, actually, you know what, I'm creating this situation, and I didn't like that when I first heard that big piece of awareness, right? That I'm creating everything in my reality. And it's so easy to sort of go, oh, well, it's someone else, it's the government, it's this, it's that, it's my partner, it's my kids, they're the reason why I'm so unhappy, I'm never, whatever it is. But then we actually never take responsibility to actually change it and do what we need to do to move forward. Because understanding having an understanding and noticing these things, which is so powerful, Leonie. It's like just the fact that you saw that you were blaming others, you saw that you went into blaming yourself, you saw the avoidance, you saw the fear, right, of the future, and the uncomfortability of being in this uncertain place. And then when we take responsibility for it, it's like, okay, well, how am I going to navigate myself powerfully through this from a place of acceptance, right? It's definitely the platform for change. We've got to accept where we are, for sure. It's like, holy shit, okay, that's all the stuff that's been going on. Now, how am I going to move past this, right? Without blaming others, without blaming yourself, right? Without avoiding it, because that never helps anyone. it just brings us into like, oh God, just make it. Maybe if I, it's like what is it, the emu with the head in the ground, right? If I can't see it, then it'll just go away, right? It's like, that's everyone's hope, right? I'll just go to bed and maybe next morning it'll have changed. I used to have dreams. This is when I was because I was quite an overweight, like late teenage, early 20s. And I used to have dreams that, oh, I'll just go to sleep and tomorrow I'll wake up and I'll be skinny, right? Honestly, you had those dreams too, Shane? I had those dreams. Like, I was just like, and I'd be thinking, just like, man, yeah, okay. And this is what would happen. I can't remember where I was going to go with that, but it's a thing of how we can really disempower ourselves, right? By not actually taking action, from a place of acceptance. We don't want to stay there. So, you know, supporting yourself in terms of what we've been talking about, supporting yourself in terms of like the processes that we've been using just to know what's actually going on for you. So that you can speak into it. Hey, Leonie, and you know, coming to these calls and actually being able to talk about what's going on for you. And from this place of acceptance, and this is such a huge part of the work that we do in this group, right? Is we get clear on where we're coming from, right? The beliefs that trip us up, the fear of not being loved and belonging that does sit right at the core of the fear that we have. And then where we currently are, what's actually coming up for us? Like, what's the truth of how we're feeling at the moment? Yeah. And then where do we want to get to? Yeah, like what is the outcome of this situation, right? Of the phone calls that you had to make, just for instance. Like, if I've got a courageous conversation or something that's going to have some stickiness or some conflict in it, like I will actually sit and I will play out the conversation. How do I want this to go? Like, how do I really want this to go? Not the not the I'm freaking out. This is how I think it's going to go. Like, how do I actually want this to go? What's the outcome of this conversation? And that is an empowered place. Because it's from that place of acceptance, this is what's going on, but where do I actually want to end up? What's the vision? What's the dream? What's the, you know, the actual reality that I would love to be experiencing in this situation with whatever's going on? And really allowing yourself to be in that and go into that, because that's what creates it. Yeah, it might not happen exactly how you vision it, and sometimes, you know, it doesn't play out the way that we would love it, but yeah, and that's the vulnerability piece, because we're human, right? Yeah, we're human. However, it starts to shift things into motion that starts to drive us into a completely different place, yeah, of creating that reality, because of the energy that we bring to it. Because if we're bringing freaked out energy, this is how it's going to go, shit, I'm freaking out about, I'm just using these phone conversations as an example. If we bring that energy to the conversations, then which way is it going to go, right? If we bring the energy of the outcome that we would actually love to create, because we've come to acceptance that this is the thing, this is going on, and then we've allowed ourselves to go, okay, what would I really love in this situation? How would I love this to play out? And then we bring that energy to the phone call and the rest of our life, because this is what we do here, right? Where we're coming from, where we currently are, and what's coming up for us. Where would we love to be? Yeah. So I hear you in terms of that acceptance. It really is a vital step. We've got to accept what's going on. We've got to accept yeah, absolutely. We've got to accept the feelings that are coming up and not squash them down, which is a lot of what this call has been speaking to. Yeah, and where would we like to get to? Yeah. Matrix messiness, making magic through all the moments. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, how does that feel, Leonie?
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Beautiful. It's lovely to see you. Thanks for joining us. Yeah. All right, beauties. Shane, we're over time, but have you got something just briefly to finish, to complete?
Yeah, it is something just briefly. It was what was coming up and Jodie was sharing. I just wanted to reflect something back to her, actually. It was like, man, the fear of not having a man and all that sort of stuff and not being able to show yourself, like watching you in that share there in your rawness, and it came across as very powerful, by the way, just fucking authentically being you. Like, oh, like I'm not gonna speak for all men, but for this man, I was like, man, that's fuck, I can feel polarity there. That was like, oh, damn, look at this woman.
Mm.
Just
Yeah.
fucking bring that, man. it's like when I can see and experience a woman who can connect into their grief and their sadness or whatever that's real for them, it's like I know that they can connect into their joy, and then they can connect into their sex, into their body. And it's like, I want to see what that person's expression's like in that place, you know? And it's like, fucking, that's alive. That's where the fire is. Wah! I just wanted to reflect that with you.
Oh, thank you, Shane. That's beautiful. I'll take that.
Good.
You're
Take
welcome.
that, put that in your
Right.
pipe and smoke it, as I like to say. But I just want to complete with one piece, which is exactly that. It's like, because that's the truth, right? And do we want people to love our mask, or do we want people to have the opportunity to be able to love the truth of who we are, right? The realness of who we are, the depth, the authenticity of who we are underneath all of that. Yeah. And that has to come from a place where we're not believing that we're bad, right? And unlovable, and all of these things that we work with in this powerful work that we do. Yeah, because nothing about us is bad, apart from what we believe, right? What we've dysfunctionally, the way that we see ourselves. Because as Shane's just reflected back, other people don't see us in that way when we reveal ourselves, our true selves, right? The truth of who we are. Yeah. And that's going to bring in the people that are attracted to the truth of who we are, and repel, like fucking repellent, the ones that aren't. And we just don't get stuck on the ones that aren't, right? It's like, you're not my person. Cool. See you later. Get out the way, because my people are trying to get through, right? Don't get stuck on the people that aren't your people. Just show them the fucking door. Yeah. Beautiful, guys. Powerful call. Thank you for joining me in my vulnerability and my today. And I'm going to invite you all off mute, because this is the way that we complete our calls.
Like this.
We howl it out. All right. Is everybody's dogs and cats ready? All right. Bring the howl. I think my cat's outside.
They're fucking creepy snuggles.
Yeah. I'll have to put that picture in the group. It's hilarious. All right, guys, let's howl it out and complete. Go well into the rest of your day, my beautiful, beautiful friends, and I will see you on the next call or spirit guidance tomorrow at 9 a.m. New Zealand Standard Time. Big love, beauties. Ciao, ciao.
Yeah.